What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, and today it's all about the top draft prospects. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome, everybody, to a video. Glad you guys are here. Hopefully everybody is having a good day so far. We are going to go through some of the latest Detroit Lions news in today's video, particularly with the top prospects in this year's draft, what they've said about the Detroit Lions, also the Detroit Lions attending pro days, things like that. But before we get into any of that, we first need to say happy birthday to Dan Campbell. Now, I am a little late. Yesterday was Dan Campbell's birthday, April 13th, but I forgot to say it in the video, so I put up the Dan Campbell kneecap soup shirt. Happy birthday, Dan Campbell. How old are you? Happy birthday, Dan Campbell. If we can get some maybe like birthday cakes or something in the chat. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start off with the quarterback position first. Justin Fields is going to be attending his second pro day, and the Detroit Lions reportedly will also be in attendance with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. Now, the Detroit Lions also did attend the first pro day for Justin Fields as well. But what's interesting about these reports that I've seen, Albert Breer did say that the teams that are confirmed to be in attendance for Justin Fields in his pro day are the Jets, 49ers, Falcons, Panthers, Broncos, and the Patriots. He did not include the Detroit Lions on that list. So I've heard the Lions will be there, but he did not confirm that. So I'm thinking they're there, but I'm not 100% sure. So just keep that in mind. I think they are, but they I guess might not be. Otherwise, though, you have the Jets. That makes sense, right? But they're probably going to go with Zach Wilson. We have the 49ers, which I think a lot of people are really starting to say Mac Jones there, and I'm kind of starting to come around to that. That could definitely be their pick. Then you have the Falcons. We're not going to sure what they're going to do at number 4. Panthers, they do have Sam Darnold. They could still be looking for a quarterback, though, especially if someone falls in their lap. You have the Broncos at number 9. Broncos could easily be looking for a Drew Lock replacement. Then, of course, you have the New England Patriots at number 15. So he did not include the Lions on that list, but I have heard the Lions will be in attendance for his second pro day. So that is pretty cool. I'm actually going to throw it over to our man Bob, who is actually in attendance today for Justin Fields' pro day workout. Bob, what is it like down there? What's the experience been like? So it's been a pretty cool event here today. There's a lot of NFL teams here in attendance to watch Justin Fields throw some passes, drop back and throw some passes again, and then throw them again. There's a lot of teams here, though. It's been a pretty cool event. NFL teams have, been working with him hands-on, so it's been a really good opportunity, I think, for both sides. Plus, it's been a really cool experience. I was actually able to get Justin Fields' autograph, so this is something I will definitely be hanging up. They were handing them out on the corner, $50 a piece. Fields signed it before he went in, and I was like, man, I just got to get one of those. This will be worth $5 billion in no time. Bob,
So,
I just thought that was pretty
just
cool.
me, or is that spelled wrong?
The name and stuff.
It's not how you spell Justin Fields.
JSTIUIN.
Is that even a number? I can't even. Maybe I'm just far away.
Still wasn't my $50,
Bob,
okay, so back to you, man. Have a good day.
Wait, if that's not your 50, whose 50 is that?
Oh,
Was you
50?
in a bet or
No,
something?
it's not my 50. I just took it out of your wallet before I left, because remember you owed me the 50, so I was like, oh, I'll just take it out of his wallet. You want mine?
You took that out of my wallet?
No. You remember,
why would you?
that time, you're like, oh, I'll give you that for gas. Because remember, you used my gas for your car.
$50 for gas?
Okay, yeah,
You don't even have a car.
I got the
No,
50.
think about it. How did you even get
It's
that?
not
You don't
actually
even
for
have a
my
car.
car. You know what I mean? But it was still like the 50 for the
Owner
gas.
of the blue Toyota XJ6532. You left your lights on.
That's you drove my.
Oh, dang.
Oh my gosh, you took my car.
Oh, man, I left the
Bring
lights
it back.
on. No, that's not your car. Actually, it's definitely not your car anymore. I actually sold it to the guy with the wig because the Field signature was more than $50. So I was like, oh, just take these keys. They're not mine anyway, Okay, everybody have a good day. I gotta go. Hey, Johnny! The Lions have been doing this with a lot of quarterbacks in this year's draft class, including Zach Wilson. They were also at Zach Wilson's first pro day with BYU. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes were both there as well. Also, they went to see Trey Lance at his first pro day. Now, his second pro day is scheduled for next Monday. So the Detroit Lions have been all around. They've been all around. They've even seen Trevor Lawrence. They were at his pro day. They've been all around to see all these players. And Brad Holmes told us that they would be doing that. You have to know all the players that are there when you're inside the top 10. So it makes sense that the Detroit Lions would go go to all these different pro days just to get to see an up close and personal look, especially with COVID and all that stuff, recently. To get to be able to see the player in person is cool. Plus, Justin Fields' workout today is going to be run by NFL coaches. That's pretty cool as well. Now, there has been some weird reports out there on Justin Fields recently. Guys, look, it's almost draft time. Recently, we've heard this take on Justin Fields. An analyst from ESPN said that people don't realize that Justin Fields was a big-time high school baseball player. He was actually going between two sports, and then the pandemic, those type of things might have messed with his mechanics a little bit. Other people have questioned his work ethic. Look, all this stuff happens when it comes close to draft time. Clearly, the Detroit Lions are keeping tabs on all the quarterbacks, as they said they would. Now, Dan Campbell did quote this back in January, saying, if we are split in the middle between a prospect, he is not for us. So if we can't agree, if it's me and Brad Holmes and we're like, hey, we don't both want this guy, then he's not for us. Now, they're going to do what's best for the team. So if one guy and everybody else really wants this player and you don't, they're going to try to look into it and see maybe why they like them and see if they can come on an agreement here. But if they're split, they said that's not the guy for them. So I guess that's good. You don't want to be split on a player draft. I know there was rumors that we did that in our last draft, but we're not really sure. But either way, there were rumors on that. I don't want to chase a quarterback. I want to draft somebody that we know, we love, and we know can help us, okay? So he said he does not want to chase a quarterback, which makes it sound as if he probably won't trade up for a quarterback. But again, if there's someone that he loves, then he could definitely take one. He just doesn't want to chase after. And Jared Goff allows you not to chase after a quarterback in this year's draft because you don't have to draft a quarterback if you don't want to. Plus, you have Tim Boyle for this year as well as your backup. Fields may have a little bit of a baseball look to his throw at times, but I definitely think if you like him as a player, that won't keep you away from drafting him because, he can still throw the football. The rumors on his work ethic, some people may take that to heart and be really worried about it, and other people may just push it off. I mean, we don't really know what's true and what's not. So obviously them getting to get an up close and personal look is very helpful and very beneficial for our coaches, and that's why you got to go check it out. You got to just see these players in person. I mean, if I was the coach, if I was Brad Holmes or Dan Campbell, man, I'd be at every single one of these I had an opportunity to, just because why not? Like, let's do it, man. Road trip, except for I don't have my car anymore because Bob sold it to the guy with the wig. The guy with the wig was selling the Justin Fields autographs. I don't know if you guys got that or not. Kyle, who was a Detroit Lions running back coach, apparently helped Mac Jones get prepared for his pro day, and they said that they used the Lions versus Buccaneers film to help Mac Jones prepare for NFL blitzes. Now, that was an awful game. Oh my gosh, I don't want to remember that game. I went back and watched our film from last year, and every time I click on that game, especially if you're watching anybody from the defensive side, it's just like, what the heck are we doing? It is just so bad. It's like every play, it's 20-plus yards. I mean, it's hard to watch. I mean, the first 3 plays, you have some confidence. Like, oh, we're getting off the field, then there's the flag, and then after that, they just like scored every time they had the ball. That's when we lost 47-7. So I don't want to bring that one back up. We kind of went through. I showed him some of the different exercise stuff we did. When I say exercises, we had different things we did with the team. That was like, I'd throw this PowerPoint up, and the quarterbacks would make their calls, and then receivers would say what route they are running. The line would go through what they are blocking, and the calls and the backs would say the same thing. We did a bunch of those, and he ran it. He was really good. And that's one of the biggest praise right now for Mac Jones is just, how intelligent. They say he's a sharp player. I think Mac Jones is going to be, I like Mac Jones. I do like Mac Jones. I just don't know if he fits the Lions for what, they've kind of told us that they were looking for. They do like the mobility a little bit in quarterbacks. And I mean, I'm not saying Mac Jones can't move, but there are quarterbacks in this draft that move much better. Most of them do. So I don't know if that's necessarily someone the Lions will target. And he may not even make it there. I mean, a lot of the thought now is going 3. A lot of the thought is he's going to be the 3rd pick. But you never know. I mean, the smoke screens, even Richard Sherman said it could be a smoke screen because they don't even know what's going on there in San Francisco. Or maybe Richard Sherman is the smoke screen. Quarterback trend, and this isn't for the Lions, but it's actually for other teams that could be looking to trade up for a quarterback. As I mentioned, the Broncos are checking out Justin Fields today. We know they could definitely be interested in a quarterback, and even to add more fuel to that fire, the reports are that the Denver Broncos did offer a trade for Matthew Stafford. Now, why is that important? That's important because it does mean that they could have been looking for a quarterback. It could have simply just been that, hey, Stafford's there. These guys don't usually come available that often. We're going to throw an offer out there. Now, the reported offer was bad. They're not all the way in on having to get a quarterback this offseason because it wasn't a great offer that they offered us at all. We definitely took the right one there with the Rams, but they did throw out an offer to the Detroit Lions. And I believe it was their 1st-round pick this year, and the Lions in exchange would give them their 2nd-round pick this year. That's not that great of a trade. I mean, that's true. That's not a great trade, but it does show that Denver is at least somewhat interested in a quarterback. And with them attending all these pro days, it could be an option for a potential team that could jump up with the Detroit Lions, especially because Carolina continues to attend these events. And hey, if we can trade back, right, that'd be pretty awesome, especially with a team like Denver. Acquire more picks and only go back 2 spots with a team that's trading up and taking a quarterback. That would work out very well. And also keep your eye on New England, right? New England just keeps popping their head up in here, but New England is one of those teams that could definitely look for a quarterback if someone slipped through, especially especially I think if Mac Jones goes 3, that may be a good thing for the Detroit Lions because Justin Fields could slip. And if Justin Fields or maybe Trey Lance slips, I don't know who they're looking for. I thought I would just throw that out there with the quarterback position. But then we have some other positions that we need to touch on. Now, we're going to do a film video on this player soon. I'm actually working on that right now. But this is Micah Parsons. And here's what Micah Parsons said about the Lions. We also have a quote from Kyle Pitts that we'll get into in a second. Parsons said this, the linebacker out of Penn State. I've talked to the Lions a couple of times. This, honestly, I would be blessed to play anywhere. But obviously playing on a team with Chris Spielman. He brings up Chris Spielman, who, of course, was hired this offseason, not as a coach, but someone that just kind of helps in the front office. But on a team with Chris Spielman, someone who could help me, help my game, would be terrific for me. Somebody who I could learn from, grow, and push me to get better every day. That's all I need. So that's what Micah Parsons stated about the Detroit Lions, so that he has talked with them a couple of times, and that basically he would like to be here with Chris Spielman. You know, that'd be a great fit for him. He's also brought in a new linebacker coach this offseason as well, Mark Delone. So I guess that's important. Now, I don't know if Chris Spielman will get out there and start coaching, but I also wouldn't put it past him either, because Chris Spielman is the type of guy that just seems to always have so much energy, just like Dan Campbell does, and he would be the type of guy to go out there and help coach. So I guess I wouldn't put it past him now that he is working for the Detroit Lions. But Micah Parsons clearly is intrigued by the thought of working with a guy like Chris Spielman. So maybe having Chris Spielman working in the front office does even more than just simply helping you hire the right coach. And then that brings you on to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts stated this one's a little bit older, but he said this about him potentially pairing up with T.J. Hockenson. I think it would cause a lot of problems because you have two great tight ends who can run routes and block. That kind of makes it hard for a defense to scheme it up. Having those two tight ends that can do different things, line up in different areas, that's something that's kind of difficult for the defense to guard. Now, of course, you're not going to get prospects here when they're asked about potentially, going to a certain team to say, yeah, that would not be a good fit. No, that's terrible. Why? I don't want to go there anyway. They're not going to say that. Of course, they're trying to sell themselves. They want to be taken, so if they're going to ask about it, they're going to sell themselves and look for something. Micah Parsons brought up Chris Spielman. Kyle Pitts said that he could be a great match with a guy like T.J. Hockenson. Now, it's interesting when you talk about Kyle Pitts and Hockenson, because while I didn't do a video on it, I thought about it, I didn't do a full video on it. It is interesting to see what kind of scheme fit that would be for the Lions, and we may have to do a video on this at some point, but just a couple of quick notes here. When you look at Jared Goff with the Rams and his time that he spent there, he has had two tight ends relatively both involved in the passing game at the same time. A lot of teams, it's a one-man show, but Jared Goff has gotten two tight ends involved. That is Tyler Higbee and Everett have both been involved at the same time. We've seen years where both those guys are over 400 yards receiving. So that is pretty impressive. And both of those guys coming out of the draft were similar. I wouldn't say, they weren't Kyle Pitts because Kyle Pitts is kind of his own breed, but they were both known as receiving tight ends. I think Higbee was actually a former receiver that went to tight end. So it is interesting that Goff has used two tight ends before and he has gotten them involved. Now, when you watch recently with the Rams, a lot of times they have two tight ends on the field. Only one would go out for a route and the other one, would stay back to block. And if you look at a guy like Kyle Pitts, you're not drafting him to block. So you would definitely have to, get both those guys involved. But they have both went out on routes before. And like I said, Goff has found a way to get them involved. Now, it has involved his top receivers, not usually. If you look at a guy like Anthony Lynn, for the most part, where he's coached before, there has not really been a two-man tight end show for Anthony Lynn. It's always been a one-man steals a show. Whether that was Hunter Henry most recently, whether that was Charles Clay, whether that was Antonio Gates, it's usually been a one tight end show, and the other tight end doesn't really do that much. And that's, of course, not what you would want. Now, Kyle Pitts is special. Even though majority of the snaps he still played at tight end, he can line up on the outside at slot, at wide receiver. I think an interesting name to keep an eye on for the Lions next season will be Hunter Bryant, just to see how big of an impact, because he could be very overlooked. And a lot of people forget we brought this guy in because he didn't really play last season. But he could be looking at a much bigger role next year that we have now signed Josh Hill. The thing is, if you did bring in a guy like Kyle Pitts, I would be able to trust the fact that I think that Anthony Lynn could find a way to get both involved, because he has shown the willingness to adjust his offense and completely play to his strengths. Not every offense coordinator does that. Some of them have their own way to doing it, and some guys just don't fit. I have seen, however, though, with Anthony Lynn, his ability to adjust. For example, he's always been known as a running guy, and he always runs the zone scheme rushing plays. That's the majority of his plays. However, if you look at with the Chargers, especially with Justin Herbert, they were a top team in passing. That's usually not the case with Anthony Lynn, but that was the strength of the team, so he relied on the strength of a team, right? He played to the strength, and that is something that Anthony Lynn has done historically. So you got to believe that if this was a situation where you had Kyle Pitts and Hockenson, he probably could get both guys involved, maybe better than some other offensive coordinators could, because some offensive coordinators just don't do that. Some offensive coordinators just have their way to do it, and you have to draft a certain players for it. But I do believe Anthony Lynn may be able to adjust and get both involved better than a lot of offensive coordinators could. And if that was the case, you'd probably see a lot of two tight end sets next season if both these guys were brought in. And of course, the versatility to slide outside. Also, going to the offensive line, really haven't heard anything recently about Penei Sewell. I think the thought is he's still going to be gone before the Lions get to 7. When you look at a guy like Rashawn Slater, All I've heard is that if he's available, it seems like the Panthers would be very interested in snagging him. So if he does slip past the Lions and if he gets to number 8, it seems like Slater could definitely be a pick at number 8 by Carolina. So just something to keep in mind if the Lions wanted to try to trade back and still land him. And also, just a little bit of news for today. The Detroit Lions have elected to sit out of voluntary workouts on Monday, but the Lions have decided to sit out of those voluntary workouts as the NFLPA was really pushing to sit out of those and in-person meetings. So June, there will be teams can have one mandatory minicamp that players can be fined for not attending. So as of now, the Lions will sit out of those workouts. That was, I think, that I believe was available to start on Monday. As you see by the phases here, and we'll probably break into this when we know more because there's still a lot of things that we're not 100% sure on because of the COVID and things are just changing all the time. But as you can notice there, by the time you get to the third phase, you're looking at traditional OTAs, which is exciting, and that comes in May 24th to June 18th. But you see the second phase is still virtual meetings on the field drills with coaches, but it says per CBA rules, no contact. It's going to be interesting to see how they work things this offseason. You know, last offseason was very virtual. I think it's going to be somewhat similar to that, but hopefully things start kind of opening up a little bit. That way we can have some fans this offseason. That's hope. That's the hope, is that we're going to have some crowds, and that is what Roger Goodell said, that he believes we could have full capacity this offseason. So that'll be exciting. But you see by third phase, in person or virtual, you kind of get to choose there, probably depending on what's going on in your city. And then of course it includes mandatory minicamp, and time where you get to have that mandatory minicamp where players are not showing up, then they can be fined a little bit longer on those. So right now they're just kind of focused on the draft. So that's some of the latest news I thought I would just give to you guys. What do you guys think about all this? Just some updates on some of the top draft prospects. I'll keep you guys updated with some of the buzz that goes around. And like I said, there are some draft prospect videos coming your way soon. So yeah, stay tuned for those. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.